apply to. Sorry, that thing, I always forget about that thing when I record. Okay, so I'm gonna read from two different things, and I really hope that it like resonates with someone, because when I read it this morning, I was like, this is so me. And so I wanted to share, and I thought it was really good. And it's called Identity, but it's under the Bible study called Do Not Worry. And I just picked it. It was already in my categories, so like I was just like, okay, let's just do this. So it's called Identity, and then it says, what happens in your life does not determine your spirit. How you perceive yourself and the abilities you have are important. When the nation of Israel lived in Egypt, they were a strong group of people who knew the true God, but they were slaves. They were not physically powerful, but they had the true God in their lives. The problem was that they had no identity. They did not know what they possessed. When you do not know what you have, even if you have natural skills and gifts, you will continue to act as if you did not have it. The Israelites suffered great affliction in the nation of the Egypt. They could not break out of the situation. They saw it as too big and saw themselves as incapable. Anyone could have enslaved them because they were slaves in their mind. They have an attitude of defeat. Affliction has oppressed them and taken away their identity. This causes a person's performance to decrease, which affects their ability to manifest the gifts they have been given. Can anybody relate to this right now? Because this is me like 99% of the time, and I have to catch myself saying, you have way more abilities than you're putting a hold on yourself. And it says, in contrast, when your attitude is not determined by your problems, but by the identity that God has given you as his child, then what happens around you does not control you. David was smaller, weaker, and less experienced than Saul's soldiers. They had military training and weapons, but David had a different identity than they did. He perceived himself differently. David had an enormous confidence in God, which is something that we should all have. He lived in the old covenant, which means God was not perceived. It was difficult because people were dead in their spirit. Nevertheless, David had a characteristic in his life, which was his faith. He had believed the stories of the past when a prophet had told him that he would be king of Israel. He believed it. That produced in David an identity of destiny, of knowing he had a future and knowing his relationship to God. Although he had less experience than the other soldiers, he was the only Israelite who believed that they could win. Therefore, only he could have defeated the giant. David saw himself as an overcomer. The reality is that the conception was based on truth. The other's perception was based on a lie. Their problem was not physical, but mental and spiritual. They perceived themselves with an incorrect identity. So I feel like I can actually relate to this 1,000%, because honestly, I had kind of a wake-up call with a friend this week, and I realized like she kind of called me out. And this is why you need friends to like that are going to call you out, because it's not in a sense of like they're being mean. It's in a sense of they care about you and they see the things that you do to destroy your own image of yourself, to destroy you, just your identity. And this is what I did this week. And so I found myself in just like a really bad headspace. And y'all, if I can say, nothing is going wrong. Like everything's great. I have an amazing team, amazing leaders. Business is going great. My customers love their products. All these things are doing good. My relationship with Dallas is good. And, we just moved into this cute little apartment. Like everything's good. And it's like I still find ways to self-sabotage myself. I still find ways to sit here and be like, I'm just not worthy of this. And then at the end of the result, this is what happens in my life, is anytime I have something good, I automatically expect something bad to happen, because I don't trust God's word of him telling me that I'm enough and him telling me that I'm worthy of something. If God puts something in your life and he puts this vision in your life and you are constantly self-sabotaging yourself and you're like, there's no way I could be a diamond leader. There's no way I could be a ruby leader. There's no way that I could be successful at this business. If God put this in your life, if God put this vision in your life, then it's already done. It is literally already done. And that's what I learned last night on a Zoom that I was hosting. If y'all are on it till the end, you heard Hannah Reeves speak about that, but that was just speaking life over me. And it was saying in this passage, it was saying that like God gives us the ability of what he told us that we can do. And it's all up here that tells us that we can't. And then we self-sabotage ourselves, and then we're not equipped for the war. We're not equipped for the things that God gives us in our life, because we're constantly telling ourselves that we aren't worth it. We can't do this. We can't do this. We can't do this. How many people do you know that join this business who do fire? Like they do so good in this business. They're so good, and you're like, oh my gosh, this girl's gonna be my next diamond. And then they quit on you, and you're like, what the heck? You're so good at this business. And it's because they constantly believe the lies in their head that they're not good enough, or that they're not worthy enough. Happens all the time. And I'm like, what are you seeing in yourself? Like you just got blessed with this big paycheck, you just got blessed with this team, and then you're just gonna leave because you don't believe that you're worthy enough. It just doesn't make sense. And so it tells us in here, like, you can have all the like all the equipped stuff. Like you can have all the nice things, you can, and here it relates to war, you can have all like the armor for war, but if your mind isn't straight, if your mind doesn't believe that you're well equipped for the war, guess what, those weapons mean absolutely nothing. And so it's just like a spiritual battle within yourself. If you are constantly telling yourself that you're not worthy, and you're not truly believing the word of God saying that he tells you that you're good enough, you're not trusting in him. And I had to really witness this week, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And so when my friend told me this like 2 days ago, she was like, you literally are always in your head. And I was like, I know. I was like, I believe me, I know. And she was like, you self-sabotage yourself. And she was like, do you actually believe that you are worthy of something? I was like, well, I say that I am, but then if we're being real deep down, no. And she's like, you're not trusting the word. You're not trusting God. You're not trusting God to handle your life. You're still trying to do it on your own. And I preach to my team, and I preach to y'all all the time on here, like, trust God, trust God, trust God. But am I actually doing it? No. And so that's where I like had to really, really dive deep. And I was like, oh my gosh. And now that I've like actually witnessed this for the first time ever, of me realizing that I'm not trusting God with the things in my life, and I truly don't believe that I'm worthy, I'm working on that. And I know once that comes into play, where it's like truly seeing what God sees in me, and I know that I'm on the breakthrough of it, I'm really like on this mountain and I'm climbing up and I'm about to reach it, like I feel it coming. It's going to change everything. It is literally going to change everything for me, and not only me, but the people that I talk to. Because sometimes when you're feeling things and you're saying things, or you're feeling something but you're saying the opposite, people can feel that. Okay. And like last week I was not in a great headspace, and so I was like trying to pump up y'all. I was trying to tell my team, do this, do this, do this, but I didn't feel it in my heart, because I was literally just so in my head about things. And it's so funny how that happens, because God's always telling you like, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Why are you so worried? And then yet you worry yourself to death. And what does the worry do? Absolutely nothing but destroy you. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you or your relationship with God, because you, again, try to rely on yourself. And it says right here, it says, David was smaller, weaker, and less experienced than Saul's soldiers. They had military training and weapons, but David had a different identity than they did. He perceived himself differently. David had enormous confidence in God. And so when you walk through things this week, this weekend and the next week, I want you to have a confidence in God that you have never experienced before. Whenever you go to do something, it could be a task in this business, it could be something in your home life, it could be working out. I want you to have the confidence in God that he's going to allow you to see the fruitfulness of what's happening when you do those things. Every time, and I said this on Monday's Zoom, about like expectations. Some of you will text me and say, of course this person did this, or of course this person said no, or of course this person didn't post for me, or of course this person is canceling, or of course. Do you not realize that, number one, you're putting your own words in your mouth? See, you are personally trying to control things, so you automatically expect the bad because you've leaned on yourself for so long. That's all you've seen is the bad. And you realize that you're not trusting God in this situation. What if God is canceling, having someone cancel out in your life? Or what if God is taking someone out of your life so he can replace it with someone 12 times better? Are you still going to say, of course, then? No, you're going to say, thank you. You're going to say thank you. You're going to have a different perception on that in life. And so I just feel like some of you guys needed to hear that, because me personally, when I read this morning, I was like, call me out, God, just at me next time, like tag me on Facebook, whatever you need to do, I heard a sermon the other day, and it was like Stephen Furtick, and he was like, you know what, I truly believe if Jesus was like here as a person today, he would have an Instagram. He would have an Instagram, and it would be the most influential Instagram. And I was like, you know what? That is so right. That is so right. That would be the best Instagram ever. And so it was just funny. So I was just saying that with like tagging me. And so some of you guys need to look at a different perception today. Y'all need to have a different perspective on life. Instead of going about your day and saying, God, what can happen today? Say, God, I trust you that today's just going to be an awesome day. Today's going to be amazing. The things that I'm doing, you're going to bless, and I'm going to be able to bless people. And then just have this confidence. And when you have that confidence, you guys, I like woke up today feeling like this, like freaking 20 pounds of weight was lifted off of me from the past week of how I was feeling. And if you talk to me, I don't know if you could feel what I was feeling, but I was feeling it, but it was literally self-inflicted. It was nothing that was happening. And I felt this weight lifted off of me is because I just gained this confidence after that Zoom last night. Like Hannah was just speaking to me. She almost made me cry. Like, what you have in your life is already done. Like, there's no need to worry. And when you truly trust in God. You have this armor of God. It's like a huge weight lifted off of you. It's like this confidence that you walk through anytime something happens. You're not freaking out. You're just like, we'll get through it. We're fine. It's okay. And I've been there before. And I caught myself going back into like the pit of worry, and it's not fun. I've been there before and I want to be there again. And I feel like myself is like, I'm kind of like getting back to it. I'm like, you know what? It's good. It's fine. It's going to be fine. When y'all text me things that happen, I'm like, it's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. That's why I have this calm feeling. And then you're sitting here freaking out on the other side. But me, I feel like I've rode those tracks before. I've seen that happen. I've been in this business longer. So when you text me freaking out about something, I'm like, it's fine, sis. I've been through it all. It's totally fine. It's going to be okay. And so I just want you to have that confidence in yourself and that confidence in God. And then if God brought you here, which obviously all y'all are in this business, there's a purpose for you. So you can't sit here and every single action you take, you doubt, because what you're doubting, God could do immeasurably amazing things through that. And you just have to be well equipped with his confidence. And some of y'all aren't letting that confidence in. Some of y'all are expecting to fail. Some of y'all are expecting for things to just not go right so you can be right, because you're so used to being right, because you're so used to expecting things wrong in your life that you're like, of course this happened to me. Of course something bad happened. And you're like, of course I'm right. I'm always right about something going bad in my life. Well, absolutely. You're bringing that on yourself. So stop expecting the bad and everything and expect the good and expect God's confidence to show through you. And I promise you, when you talk, when you walk, when you breathe, all those things, it's going to feel different. The air is going to feel different. And when people talk to you, they're going to see a change in you. I had someone tell me when I got back from Winner's Circle, with the company last month, they were like, the way that you spoke was a completely different version of how you used to speak. And I love that about myself. And I want that to feel that. I want that feeling again. I want y'all to have that feeling. I don't ever want y'all to doubt what God's doing in your life. And I don't ever want y'all to mistake a bad day for a bad year or a bad month or God not working in your life. Even when it's bad, even when you feel upset, even when you feel sad, God is working in your life. And I can tell y'all a million, billion, trillion things that have happened in my life for that to happen. But just to save time, I won't. But if y'all want to ask me, I can always tell y'all situations where I'm like, God showed up there. God showed up there. God blessed me there. God was a blessing there. And so hopefully that helped y'all. And then I'll read this little passage from the Jesus Calling, because I felt like this is really good and it's really weird. Every time I open these, it is like, it literally feels like it needs to at me because it's just so accurate on how I'm feeling that day. It's very weird, but it's very cool. So it says, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. Wherever you are, wherever you go, I am with you. This is an astonishing statement, yet it is so true. My unseen presence is more real than the flesh and blood people around you. But you must see me with your eyes of heart and communicate with me through prayer, trusting that I really do hear and care. How many of y'all have actually sat there and sat intentionally in prayer and just talked to God? Maybe not wanting anything specifically, but just saying, God, thank you so much for where I'm at in my life today. Thank you just so much. Like I pray for this, but you know what? I just want to say I'm grateful for where I'm at. I just want to say thank you because you are a blessing in my life and you have given me every single stronghold to stay put with the situations that I'm in. You've given me strength to get through this. You've given me peace through this. Just thank you. And just reminisce on the things that he's done for you. And that's where I have to catch myself to do that, because sometimes I get so much caught up in the now or what tomorrow is going to look like that I don't thank him for the past. And so it says, I assure you that your prayers make a difference, though not always in ways you can see or in the time frame you desire. I factored the prayers of believers into my sovereign governing of your world in ways far too complex for finite minds to grasp. Remember, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways and thoughts higher than yours. Since my methods of working in the world are often mysterious, it's important to take time to be still and know that I am God. Sit quietly in my presence, breathing in my peace, and I will give you rest. So that's kind of just reassurance for you that God is on your side. He is for you. He is never against you. So I know y'all have heard that song. I know y'all have heard that praise. I know y'all have heard that scripture. He is for you, never against you. And so you have to believe whatever is happening in your life, whatever is said to you in your life. You know, those people who just want to like take a jab at your heart because they just want to be rude to you. People like that, whatever situation you're going through, and it might just be the best situation you've ever been in, that's still God, okay? Everything's still God. Don't ever mistake it for you being able to do something on your own. We are all independent. We are all dependent on God's word and like what he has for us. And I don't know if you've ever been through this, but like maybe you've been in a time in your life where you didn't have God and you didn't believe in him, or you didn't have faith in him, you were angry at him, whatever the circumstance is, and then you had a situation where you truly believed in him. Like he was your armor, you trusted in him, you needed him. Which one would you rather be? I can tell you the person that I was when I didn't know God and the person I am now. like this is 1,000 times better. Okay. So just remind yourself of that. And hopefully that's a good reminder. And if you, I tell you all this all the time, but if you feel like you have experienced the presence of God and you feel like God is just on your side and you feel like he has just gotten you through so much, share that praise with someone. Becca texted me something really amazing that happened to her last night. And I always tell y'all, I want to hear those things, because even though y'all might see me as someone who is like so strong in my faith, I don't know if y'all do, but I lead this, so like sometimes y'all might think that there are days where it's hard, and so I need that reminder. And when I see that, it always brings me back to knowing that God is just so good. And I love seeing other people be blessed. That is the biggest blessing, is seeing other people be blessed and them sharing the things that God has done for them, because I know that I was in some way, shape, or form a part of that. And that gives me going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I did my job as a Christian. I did my job as here on earth. I'm here for it. So bring me your praises, no matter how small, how big. If it's literally just like you pulled up to the gas pump and it already had extra money in it, like that's a blessing. That is a blessing. If you were just complaining about money and then that happens, God's blessing you. That's just a blessing. Okay. It can literally be anything. Someone give you a compliment when you were having a bad day. That's a blessing. It's not coincidences. It's God showing up in your life, telling you, hey, I'm by your side. I'm here by you. I promise you I'm here. I'm not going to leave you. We'll never forsake you. I promise you all the way that I'm going to be with you. And so sometimes we need that reminder. And I hope that this was good for a Friday, because I feel like going into the weekend, sometimes we forget about everything. Sometimes we just want to spend time with our friends and, take our Sabbath. I take my Sabbath on Saturday, so I don't look at my phone, but I still do my devotionals. So sometimes we can go into the weekend forgetting things. Like, I don't know, you just want to take the weekend off, which is fine, but don't forget this. And so I wanted you to have like kind of a fresh start for the weekend, just to let you know that like you can literally conquer anything. And I just love y'all, and I hope that this helps. I hope that y'all